ready.
Questions? Right here, Sky, right in the middle.
Yeah, Rob, since Willie first reached out to you and told you that he was going to meet with Florida State, what were your conversations with him like?
Obviously, he reached out to me somewhere right after lunch, and we met. And he said, "Hey, this is a family decision. It pulls at my heartstrings, and I feel like I got to go be the coach at Florida State." And then we've obviously met with the student athletes and the staff, and moved on, ready to start the search.
Did you have a pitch back to him about staying here?
Oh, we've been in plenty of conversations, for the past 5 days. He knew that we were aggressive in trying to retain him. He knew the support that was here. He knew what a special place this was. But it just came down to heartstrings.
Rob, what do you have to say to boosters and fans that are frustrated in how this scenario played out with the coaching staff?
In what sense specifically?
How it drug on to get a resolution for several days?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd say we have a very, very passionate fan base, and we're lucky to have such a passionate fan base. And this is a special place, and I understand that it got clumsy at the end. There's no question about that. But we were in good conversations. We wanted to do everything that we could to provide Coach Taggart the opportunity to remain here. And then when that went away, we turned the page.
With the accelerated timeline, at the early signing day, kind of what's your timeline like to hopefully have a hire in place?
We don't have it. These things take twists and turns. There's no specific timeline. Obviously, we've already started. We'll be very thorough, and we'll make sure that we find the next great leader for Oregon football.
Ryan, you still?
Sure.
Ryan on the left.
Rob, does it bother you, or is it against the code for him to interview while out on a recruiting trip like that?
He was very open with me. I knew, Florida State managed it well. They, called to let us know that they were going to reach out to him. I don't know that I'm going to get into code or not code. The reality is, there was open communication.
Nick on the front right.
How much of a benefit is it, though, that it's been less than a year that you were already out doing the whole canvassing of the country and maybe beyond?
I don't know that I would call it a benefit, but obviously we're always aware of what's going on in the marketplace, and we have a plan, and we'll execute that plan.
Austin, right here.
Rob, if you had known last year that Willie would only be here for a year, would you gone a different direction? And do you think it's important to find somebody now who you feel like will be here for a longer period of time?
I don't know if I could, look back and, put that into the calculus. You don't really think about that. Obviously, with the progress that we made, continuity is important when it's going well. And when we sat down a year ago, there was a pledge for a commitment and a vision for long term, and it was one that we believed. Obviously, that's not what happened. So we'll be back out there again, and we'll have those same conversations. We might have to take a little deeper assessment on how we view those conversations.
Front right. Is it AJ?
Yeah.
AJ?
So nationally, kind of along that question, we've seen a lot of coaches who make decisions to head home maybe a little bit earlier than they planned to when they first took a job. So how important is it in your search to have someone who has ties to the Pacific Northwest or Oregon in particular?
We have a whole long list of criteria, and obviously that's a bonus, but that's not where you start because that narrows the pool. We want to have a diverse pool, a broad pool, and we will have that. But if in the end there's someone with ties, that's a bonus, but it's not at the top of the list.
Front left, Matt.
Would you like with Cristobal becoming the interim head coach or him and Levitt candidates be the head coach?
Obviously, we have an outstanding staff. I mean, that's the success that we've had on the field, the success in changing the culture, and the success we've seen on the recruiting trail is we have an outstanding group of assistant coaches, and we're fortunate to have a couple who've had head coaching experience. It's just the way it worked out from a division of responsibility standpoint that Mario was the choice. Obviously, we had plenty of great options and folks that will be head coaches. And there's a number of coaches on our staff who have head coach capability, and we certainly would want to talk to those.
Back middle, Rick.
Last year, you made a change, and there was a very distinct and a long-term culture in place here. You chose to change that. Now, do you see elements of the culture that is in place now that you can build upon, or are you really at square one again?
No, listen, it's about the student athletes, and we have outstanding young people, and they're the ones that, under the vision of a leader, shifted that culture. And as I told them today, I'm very proud of what they've done in the past year. I want them to finish up finals the right way and get excited. They earned a bowl trip, and that's coming up, and they need to enjoy that. But really, that's the group. There's been good locker room leadership. They've created the great culture, and there's some elements of that we want to carry on, absolutely.
Travis Mill.
Rob, obviously, Willie's decision was his decision. It wasn't your decision or the players. So when you talked to the players this morning, how difficult was it to talk to them again just 1 year later? And especially some of these players are going to be on their third head coach in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have outstanding student athletes who are very strong, but nobody wants to be in this position. But it's a reality. I'm very honest with them. Had conversations with them as a group and then some individually. And at the end of the day, they love being Ducks. They're very proud to represent the Oregon Ducks. And they express confidence that we'll be able to find a great coach because this is such a special place.
Andrew, front middle.
There have been some reports that Jim Levitt will follow Willie to FSU, but when you talked to Willie today, did he make that specific that he would bring Jim, or do you know what Jim's future is if he's still in play here?
No one's mentioned that to us. Willie said the only thing that we talked about was that the staff would remain intact till December 16th so that these kids can enjoy the fruits of their labor during the year and be rewarded with a bowl game. And no one has mentioned anything to me about Florida State and Jim.
In the middle, Sky. So you want this? Yeah.
You mentioned when you're vetting through the new candidates, you maybe have to take a deeper assessment into their commitment to the university. You've been at this for some time. Have you seen a change in culture with coaches and coaches that used to be in it for the kids and now are more in it for the money grab?
Boy, that's a broad question. The reality is it's about the individual person. We want somebody, this is a special place. And people understand it's a special place. It's a special place because of the people, because of the fans, because of the success. And it's very attractive. I'm confident we'll find someone who wants to be here long term and build on the foundation that's here.
Tyson on the right.
Apologies if I missed this earlier, but was Willie in the meeting today?
He met with the student athletes prior to me. I was not in the meeting with him and the student athletes.
Here on the left, Austin.
Rob, when did Willie first make you aware that he was considering Florida State?
Thursday. He made me aware that they had reached out. They called me Thursday to let me know they wanted to reach out to him. He called me later Thursday to let me know that they had reached out to him.
Ryan on the left.
Rob, I know you have to have a business-like approach right now, but what were your emotions? I mean, he's your guy. You picked him. You guys had a great relationship up until today.
Yeah, I was disappointed. We sat down a year ago, and we made a commitment to him. He made a commitment to us. We've done everything to support our commitment to get here today, and I'm disappointed.
AJ on the right.
So, Rob, I know the other thing that's coming into play, we mentioned the early signing period, but the recruits who are committed to 2018, who's kind of in charge of reaching out to them, making sure they're still on board to come, and how are you handling them in the midst of all this?
So Mario's the interim head coach. He's finishing up a visit tonight. He'll be getting back to Eugene tomorrow. All of our other assistant coaches who are outstanding recruiters and have built great relationships are remaining on the road through this week. We're still going to have our recruiting weekend this weekend that we were planning on having. David Kelly is organizing all that. So it's business as usual with Mario at the helm.
Middle, Rick.
That said, though, with no determination on the staff's eventual landing spot until after the 16th, how can that be handled properly when those coaches may not know whether they'll be here after the 16th or not?
We'll be honest with the prospect of student athletes. This is a special place, and obviously, student athletes, prospects have until December 20th to make a decision, and we'll communicate honestly and openly with them.
Did you get a sense during your conversations with Coach Taggart that you mentioned that Oregon's a special place, but he's moving for a place that, as you put it, was tugged on his heartstrings? Did you get a sense that maybe Florida State was the only job that would have led to this situation right now?
Obviously, what he explained to me was it was a place that he admired as a youngster and early on in his career. And that was the one place that he admired. I don't know that I could assess. You'd have to ask him whether it was the only one, but it was certainly one that held a special place in his heart from a young age.
On the left, Austin.
It was reported that Willie was offered a contract extension around the time of the Civil War. A, can you confirm that? And B, were there any subsequent offers made to him during the negotiations?
Yes, there was a contract extension offered him before the Civil War. And yes, there were substantive contract discussions all the way up through yesterday.
Right, Andrew.
Yeah, off that, beyond the money going to Willie in those contract negotiations, was he wanting something more from you support-wise? Was he seeking anything to more of a commitment?
He wanted to make sure that we did everything we could to retain the staff, which we obviously made that commitment. It's an outstanding staff. But that was really it. I mean, it was really about an extension, increasing the compensation and making sure that we retain the staff.
Is that correct, Steve?
What criteria are you setting up in your search for the next coach? What do you see as an important factor for this next hire?
Right. Obviously, it's someone who fits culturally at the University of Oregon, someone who has a proven track record of excellence, who puts the student-athlete experience very high, somebody who can attract a great staff, can recruit, can build meaningful relationships inside the locker room, inside the community, and who is passionate about their craft. These are hard jobs. And what we've seen is the energy of this staff and what it means on the recruiting trail, what it means inside this building, and what it means in the community. And we want somebody who can replicate that.
Right, left, Austin.
Will you use a search firm, and would it be the same one you used last time?
Yes and yes. They'll help us with the logistics.
Back middle, Rick.
Kind of maybe a philosophical question, but this time of year with the bowls and with recruiting and then coaching changes, it always seems like there is no way this can work out well. It's always going to kind of things slip between the cracks. Do you have any thoughts or any ideas on how maybe this period of time in a football season and the transition between coaching position changes could be handled a little bit better, taking into consideration the recruiting and the potential student athletes coming in?
You mean for the industry?
Yes.
There was a lot of debate and discussion around moving the signing day up, and what impact that would have, because we're kind of in the silly season of all the movement. But there's a lot of other things in play to it. You can't isolate it into one issue relative to coaching change. There's a lot of other factors that went into the lengthy multi-year discussion about signing days, and we'll continue to have those debates. I don't have a magic bullet. No.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.